It would be great to have someone who could do our work for us, right? Someone to prevent us from making mistakes. Someone to assist with our routine professionally and allow us to devote our time to communicating with our closest people. If only we could get results without wasting our time for nothing. Unfortunately, it's impossible in real life. But wait, Liteforex social trading. Spend your time doing what really matters to you.
Hello, good afternoon. It's the 20th of June 2019. It's a 1:45 p.m. CET. Piotr here. This is the Bank of England live market coverage only on Liteforex global YouTube channel. Before we start, as usual, risk warning, guys. Please bear in mind trading effects on margin. Trading crypto on margin carries a high level of risk, may not be suitable for all investors who can sustain a loss of some or all your initial investment. So please do not invest the money that you cannot afford to lose. Seek education, gain experience before risking real money. However, past performance doesn't guarantee future results. Okay, so we have like 12 minutes to go. Now the main question is if Mr. Carney is going to join the dovish camp of all major central bankers. I'm talking here about the Powell, Kuroda. I'm talking here about Super Mario Draghi as well, right? So that's the main question. Hello, Mer, how you doing? If we are going to have dovish Carney, right? If we are going to have a dovish Carney, the move back and retest Monday weekly open and Monday high, something between 26, 25.80 cannot be ruled out, and that but that might be the buying opportunity there. In case of surprise hawkish Carney, the stops above 27.70 and rally towards 28, very possible here. So it's going to be very interesting afternoon, and probably we are going to be done before the New York Open. Okay, we are going to watch and we have to change a bit few things. We are going to watch pound USD, we are going to watch euro pound, and I like with the current environment, I also like pound yen, right, with this rally we've seen on indices. So yeah, we will see. So let's have a look what we have from the very short period of time, what we have on the pound USD, right? We are approaching, we were talking this morning about the range from the 7th of June, right? And we are inside that range already, all right? So we can do that like this. I think the key here depends on the market takeaway. It's gonna be 27.30, 27.40. Okay. And to the downside, it might be some kind of the support around yesterday high. That cannot be ruled out, right? And then, as I mentioned, weekly open, Monday high. In case of the daily close above this green zone, the whole move to the downside over here, the whole move to the downside we've seen here, from this daily chart perspective, might be treated as a manipulation to the downside, and then the zone here and this previous swing low are gonna to be very, very important from bull's perspective for the future, eventual future move to the upside on the pound, right? At some point, if we are going to make it that big, the chart, right, we might try to visualize something very, very similar to inverted head and shoulders, right? So that's why this week open, the Monday high, that's why they might be so important over the course of next few days. If that's the case, if that's the head and shoulder, right, then move back towards 3rd of May range. We are talking about levels around 130 might be on the card. So from the higher time frame perspective, looks like bulls are trying to take over. And that's what we were discussing. That's why I've been telling you for quite some time that it was okay. I've been hurt trying to long the pound too early, but there was some sign that there is a chance. Yeah, maybe I was a front runner. I shouldn't do that. Lesson learned. All right. So that's good. Yeah, we'll see. So let's switch to the lower time frame here. Let's switch to 1 hour and let's have a look what we have. That's price action. We are talking about this yellow zone, right? That's the main demand, short-term demand, in my opinion, the main one. Okay, and we are testing right now, as you can see, we are testing supply based on what we've seen 12th of June over here to the left, and as you can see, we have some reaction. What bulls don't wanna see? Bulls don't wanna see the move and close below this level, right? We had a rally base rally with the base being retested already. We testing supply based on a daily, based on intraday, so it's much more important. All right, that's the first thing bulls don't wanna see, move below this one, right? Another possible demand is what we've seen around the daily open, right? That's what we've seen here, and that's another possible demand, but this one is very close to what we have with the price action we've seen yesterday. Okay, so I think that's the liquidity, intraday liquidity pool here, so we might hit the stop eventually at some point and retest these levels around 26 or a little bit below 26. Okay, now above the green zone, liquidity pool stops if we are going to get back inside That might be the short setup. Otherwise, with strong rally, 28, 28, 15, next possible target. So we have a 4 minutes, 3.5. That's how I see the things from the pound dollar perspective. Now, euro pound. Currently, let's make it a different way. Let's make it that way. $89.044. $44. That's the weekly open for that cross with $88,961, $88,961, $88,961, $88,961. Monday low. That's the first supply and been tested here. And the next one, what we discussed this morning, 89.50 in case of a little bit dovish Carney, right? So let's switch lower here. So we tested this supply right now. The combination of the weekly open, Monday low, all right? A little bit of the rejection. And finally, pound yen, but with this one, I may want to wait for a US cash market to open, right? Because we were reacting at this very important bottom related to what happened at the very beginning of 2019. All right? It's very, very, very significant reaction. Now, the thing is, compared to pound dollar, for example, still have to recover, right? We do have around 137.50, 138.50 from the daily perspective. We have this possible supply based on this range we've seen on the 11th of June. All right. So I'm going to watch overall pound sentiment as well as the what is going on with indices on the pound yen. And here, for now, let's have a look where we are from the pound USD perspective. So we hit some stops, intraday stops, and we are working towards intraday supply. All right, and we hit this intraday stops, we hit the supply, and we have Bank of England rate decision right now.
News.
No change. 0.75, 0.75, 0.75. Actual forecast previous. Now, always, devil is in details. Thank you, Mer. Thank you very much for the kind words. 23.50 on the pound USD. I don't know. Looks like Carney joined the dovish camp based on what we see on the pound. And here, yeah, this is a few comments here important. Cut Q2 GDP estimates to 0 from 0.2. That's negative. This scenario assumes smooth Brexit, with CPI fall below 2%. Looks like a huge mess, that's true. But it might be also overall what's the dollar sentiment, what kind of the dollar sentiment we are going to have. Euro pound breaking higher here, so it might be the case for the rally we discussed before, right? Let's place one of the line over here. There is a break higher here intraday. So in that case, yeah. And guys, we were discussing yesterday during the FOMC, when we were covering against FOMC live, we were discussing the situation that yeah, now we have all these major central bankers going dovish, right? All right, they talking about the stimulus, cutting the rates, right? But based on what? Based on the soft geopolitical macroeconomics view, right? So I would be extremely careful trying to trade alongside on the indices currently. All right. We have to be, I'm very curious what's going to happen over the course of the US session today and tomorrow. It's very interesting for me. That's very interesting for me. Because what happened on Nasdaq, so in regards to the pounds, I have to wait a bit to see the dust settled and what's gonna be the price action. I think with this statement, with Bank of England rate decision, and don't forget, at the end of the US session today, at the end of the cash US session today, we are going to have Carney speeches. So be very careful. And it might be, if we are going to add into that we have end of the first half of the year, end of the quarter, end of the month, all of this coming within the next 10 days. We have futures, options, expirations. So I'm calling this always witches expirations. So we have to be extremely careful. Agree with you. Just one thing, it's gonna be end of the US session, almost no liquidity. So we know what is going on during the period of the time when the US cash is open ahead of the Tokyo Open. We have this 3-hour window when very often we've seen huge spikes, upside, downside, whatever, right? In addition, if we are going to get something Brexit related or new prime minister related, we might see move without the liquidity. So watching this, because we reacted exactly where the market was actually expected to react, but taking into the consideration that we might see more manipulation, I wouldn't be surprised to see higher levels here. It might be, and in case of upper shadow on a higher time frame, like 1 hour, I might even consider short pound over there. It might be very negative from the euro pound perspective if we are going to get the close below the trend line. So it's huge attempt to break, retest the weekly open. Might be interesting here. I've got some tiny pound long still from our previous meetings. I'm going to move the stop right below the spike. So I'm going to secure 125 pips here for the remaining part of this long. But that's the history, right? We have to focus what we can do here, right now. Now, what is also very, very, very important, and we have to remember about that, is that we had a dollar weakness going on after the FOMC. We had a dollar weakness going on during the Tokyo session, and we had a dollar weakness, or we have dollar weakness here during the first part of the European session, and we are right ahead of the New York Open. It's gonna be very interesting as well. So what's the plan for the pound? We didn't get the positive surprise from the Carney. I'm talking about the pound bulls perspective. So I would say it's a dovish camp again here. So based on what we've seen, the reaction, right? It might happen. So my plan, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna to wait for some kind of the manipulation during the US session. And in case we will try to go higher from here, right? That might be initial reaction at the New York Open. It might be. That's when I will try to, it might, I don't know, plenty of different things may happen after our meeting, right? Plenty of different things may happen after our meeting. That's very important. You have to remember about it. But based on what I see right now, and taking into consideration that we are still ahead of the New York Open, we might see the US guys manipulating the price higher to hit some stops. If that's the case, and we are going to get here around 2760, if we are going to see the spike with rejection, so in case, let's try to visualize it. compared to what we have here and this intraday supply zone. So in case we are going to have, I don't know, this type of the price action with the upper shadow close below this supply from the intraday perspective, that might be under such a candle, that might be my short setup. That might be my short setup. Right? In case of a little bit sharper pullback, right? I wanna see drop towards 2650, then eventually attempt to rally, and that's the second setup for me. I may try to sell on a retest of 27. If we are not going to see more stops to the upside and we are going to see the sharper pullback, right? I want to see the recovery towards 27, and I might try to use this 27 as a selling opportunity towards this very important zone over here. 2610, 2590. Okay. So that's my plan for the pound USD. I'm going to use higher levels with rejection as an opportunity to try to sell short with tight stop and targeting this yellow zone, and this yellow zone over here, the latest market weakness, I'm going to try to use as an opportunity to try to go long pound again. Okay. Now, from the US session perspective, let's have a look what we have on the agenda. 2:30 p.m. CET, half an hour after New York Open, we have Philadelphia Fed Manufacturing Index. That might be good excuse to move the market a bit. Watch out for it, right? Because that's the only thing I would call it important we have during the New York session. Of course, not taking into the consideration Mr. President Trump Twitter activity or stuff like this, right? So watch out for the US data. And some more comments, because the FOMC yesterday with the Powell press conference, it was right into the US cash close yesterday. And I'm very often saying that 12-24 hours, that's when we should see the real market reaction, right? So right here, right at the US Open, we might see more comments, ideas and stuff like this, what the big guys think about Powell press conference, what they think about the Fed action, right? And that's where we should see some real market reaction. So we know from the pound versus dollar, from the Bank of England versus Fed, we know the trading plan here. Another instrument I'm going to watch very carefully, it's gonna be Nasdaq, based on where we are. There is a still possibility we are going to have this over-under. Someone can argue, Piotr, but we are much higher right now than what we've seen here. Yes, we are, but all this action is done as a pre-market. I want to see the real cash market action, right? So in case of the upper shadow here, so from that perspective, the conservative approach might be to wait for the cash close to see where we are, right? Of course, because we are approaching end of the few important periods of time, half year, quarter, month, window dressing might be in place, right? These asset managers, they have to show performance to their clients, right? So it might be window dressing, and not gonna be surprised here if we are going to see the higher levels. In that case, we are going to draw something like this, and 8,000 might be the target for the Nasdaq. But I want to see the real price action during the cash market, right? Over here. So it's gonna be interesting from that perspective as well. Let's get back for a second to the FX market. Now, why we might see invisible hands of the central bankers and rescue teams, whatever we want to call them, here on the indices, and Bank of Japan might be the most involved central bank here because of where we are with from the yen perspective, right? We have to create positive environment in case to avoid the situation the yen is getting strength, gaining the strength, it is getting stronger, right? Because what we discussed this morning, in case of the break of this, we are talking about the opening and closing levels. I'm not talking about the whole shadow. We are talking about these levels over here. Because if we are going to get the close below 107.50, right? The bears, for sure, bears are gonna feel the blood. And they will try to immediately push lower. So it's very interesting where we are going to be at the end of the day here as well. But both Nasdaq or indices as well as dollar yen, we were discussing the levels, the yellow here. I didn't take the advantage of this possibility to try to short it, right? Why? Because of what I've seen on a higher time frame. I don't like it yet. So I'm waiting. If you remember what we were discussing this morning, we were discussing also another opportunity that if we agree that the whole period here, that was the range, right? So we were discussing retest of the range or retest the mid of that range. And in that case, yes, I wanna see the price higher, right? The breakdown with this stop count over here, with these lower shadows, suggests that we might see a little bit higher levels here. So that's why I didn't take that short we discussed this morning, that might be possible. But I've been monitoring, so you know, that's what we discussed, that you have to sometimes actively monitor market developments. And the last one before we go today, because looks like no fireworks, no big fireworks after the Bank of England. So from the pound perspective, we have to wait for the market development. We have a plan, and simply we have to wait and see which scenario is gonna to be traded. And the last one is euro dollar, and especially from the perspective where we are right now, right? We are testing the supply based on the monthly chart, based on the August 2017. It means that we might be higher, no doubt about it, right? We also testing, that's what we discussed as well. It's been tested. December 2018, 1344, been tested earlier this month. All right, so plenty of supply based on the higher time frame here on euro dollar. So you know, in case we are going to see Draghi around the corner, because for sure he's watching the current market developments. He was trying to be as dovish as you can imagine, and it didn't work out his way. It was like short-lived, if you remember. That was this attempt to break lower, and that's it. Failure and rally. So the scenario here is similar to what we discussed with pound USD. Either we are going to hit the stops towards 1344, so either we are going to look for more stops, right? That's what we've seen after payrolls. And we are going to look for liquidity here with the rejection. That might be short setup. Okay? Or early close below 1270, below this Rayleigh base, Rayleigh zone, right? Below this previous supply from the 14th of June. Okay. Where is possible demand? The possible demand is down, in my opinion, towards the Monday high 1250 and weekly open 1210. That's possible intraday demand. Okay. So I'm not gonna be surprised if we see some kind of the additional activity from the President Trump perspective on the Twitter or overall White House administration. That's not gonna be surprise me. Okay. So we will see. In that case, with the pound weakness, I might want to see Monday high 89.50, and that's where I may try to start to think about shorting euro pound again. Dovish Carney. Again, right at the end of the US cash session, we've got the Carney. Don't forget. And within the next hour, we have Philadelphia Fed Manufacturing Index. So watch out for developments over there. Okay. Do you have any questions? Don't forget, we do have on Tuesday, upcoming Tuesday, we do have third and last one when we are talking about the June, the very long, almost whole day with, of course, with the breaks, educational webinar where I'm sharing with you the way I'm approaching the market. Last Tuesday was very, very good. The recording, it was recorded and it's already uploaded in the archive section on the Liteforex Global YouTube channel. You're more than welcome to watch. I share with you a few nice tricks, and we did live approach to the long pound without the drawdown. It was to the pip, and we did the full analysis. We prepared the trading plan well in advance before that happened. It wasn't like I've been moving chart to the left and look, it was possible to do this, and no, we did it based on what we discussed morning, because during the morning meeting, yes, we were discussing based on the history, but then we were trying to implement what we learned, and it was so nice. It was more than 5 hours. Hi, Pavel. It's all about daily close or weekly close, and I've been talking about this morning. Let's have a look one more time. Just 1 second. The bulls are under strong pressure, and it's all about where we are going to get and close day and week. That's the weekly chart. So there was a strong reversal based on the trend line last week. There was an attempt to go even higher. The important thing, and that's what's put me on the wrong direction for a while. It was that strong previous week close and attempt to continue higher, especially above this supply zone. So we had previous week close above that zone, and there was attempt to go higher, right? Now we have a full weekly reversal here, and it's all about where we are going to get the close. So yeah, with this type of the close, most probably tiny attempt to reverse next week, continuation to the downside. What we have to have here, quite good lower shadow. Now the question is if we can get that as a bulls, right? And this move on the dollar might be real because of the long dollar liquidation ahead of the end of the first half of the year, end of the quarter, end of the month. Plenty, if they want to rebalance this stuff, that might be a real move. We'll see. Still 10 days to go. From the daily perspective here, still 60 pips to the downside. We are talking about 96. Currently we are trading 96.60 based on this possible one-to-one. All right, so we are talking about the downside over here, and the question is what kind of the reaction we can get here. So right now, possible supply on the dollar around 97, possible demand around 96, and we are trading 96.60 in the middle of the nowhere from our perspective. So attempt to rally, but be very careful, because I would like to see from the bearish perspective, right, to try to sell dollar rallies. I would like to see the daily close lower today and attempt to rally tomorrow instead of rally today and ending the day with the lower shadow. That might be a little bit different story. That might be a little bit different story here. So 97 for sellers, 96 for buyers. So in that case, it means that from euro-dollar perspective, all right, we might see this stop count to the upside, because there is a space, right, on the dollar index. Thank you, Pavel. All right, so we have the euro pound price action actually going on right now. The truth is that it's not a dollar right now. It's not about the dollar. Simply market is using weaker dollar and pushing euro dollar higher, at the same time taking into the consideration dovish Bank of England statement, and here dollar is buying again. So the overall price action is pound related right now, and especially market is trading euro pound right now, in my opinion. Market is trading euro pound right now. So the move on the euro dollar or the move on the pound dollar are dictated by what is going on euro pound. That's how I see the things currently, and it might be like this for the next half an hour or even 1 hour towards the US data. So that's how I see the things. That's all about the euro pound currently. Yeah, I will try to not be trapped as well, but market is tricky, so a little bit lower exposure might be the solution here. Smaller positions, smaller sizes, lower exposure. Right, guys, it was my pleasure as usual to be here with you. As far as I remember, next meeting we do have on Tuesday, and that's gonna be the whole day webinar. We will try to stream from the webinar room through the YouTube as well, but please bear in mind that I can see the chat and I'm responding only to the chat inside the room. So in case you wanna ask, you wanna discuss, please register for this webinar and be inside the webinar room. Guys, don't be trapped. That's the first thing. The second thing, have a great rest of the day. The third thing, have a great weekend, recharge your battery, and I promise you, market will be open again next week. So no worries. Have a good one and see you next week. Take care. Goodbye.